Hello, I'm Toasted. Waffles, or you may call me Ideas. Toasted Ideas. And something that has been itching me is the topic of politics and how polarizing the extremes are compared to the centrists of the world, and how the extremes are more in connection than they're closer politically aligning people, who just so happen to be more opposing than the extremes. One of the things that I see is that both of the extremes always talk about the controlling nature of the supposed opposition. Something that you will hear from both sides is how both contribute to the worst of the worst in humanity. Liberals, or democratic people, want the world to represent communist China, while the opposing conservative, or republican people, want the world to follow after historical leaders such as Adolf or the KKK.
I know that preaching.
Mad respect to minorities. What the fuck? Stop!
What?
I want to get another.
There right now. He puts there probably swinging around eating some bananas. Fucking stupid bitch. Preach is crying right now, swinging from a monkey branch.
Bro.
And one of the things that I find weird is how the extremists within the groups don't even see how they themselves are being controlled by their own faction. The left says that the right wing people are evil, and the hard left then go insane.
Security.
By annoying regular people just doing regular things. Or perhaps when the right says that the left-wing people are insane, as then the hard right-wing people start doing insane things to combat their insanity.
So this is a video of his called Women Are Not Real. And I don't like to use this word, but this is the epitome of incel shit.
Women are the physical manifestation of sensory perception. And in the same sense that when your senses are overloaded in any particular way, whether they're overloaded with pleasure or overloaded with pain, if your senses keep receiving that same stimulus over and over, you are not going to have as strong of a reaction to that same stimulus.
None of that meant anything. Everything he said there had actual no meaning behind it. It's just a lot of fucking nothing. You just took a bite out of a nothing burger that this guy fed you out of his ass.
Or in other words, they're two sides of the same coin. Me, personally, I'm more of a centrist. I like to see both sides and do my best to shuffle between their ideas and come up with my own idea that opposes both sides in one way or the other. Take abortion, which doesn't really connect with my main point, but it's still a good jumping off point, I think. Maybe, not really, but anywho. I agree with the whole entire women aborting in the cases of, like, rape or incest, as those are very crucial and horrible things that can happen to someone, and having to carry a reminder, or burden of that situation is like having a notification on your phone about your trauma going off every day. Only difference is that you can't turn off that notification without being named a terrible person, and for good reason, as that child has had no voice in being alive. Although the trauma remains. But in that same era of thought, most abortions are not dealt with by patients of these horrible crimes, but instead mistake babies. Which is just a horrible way to view your own stupidity of not wearing protection. I personally think that mistakes are things that people live with as a reminder for their own problems and shouldn't be taken away necessarily, as people only learn from history, as without history, there'd be nothing to learn from. Which is why I'm personally against abortion in the cases of mistakes, as that soon-to-be child didn't ask to be born, but then would soon be denied life from their own parents, due to their existence being a mistake, which is just a horrible thing to call someone, dead or alive. Some people deserve it, while others did nothing to even accept that statement. I realize that my opinion on this is mute, as I doubt the health industry will ever stop trying to make as much money as it can bring in. Now, to reel this back in, this is where the extremes are in fact extremes. It's either all abortion is bad and all babies that are conceived are living and deserve just as much rights as a functioning person, or all abortion is good as it's just a clump of cells that doesn't deserve anything else other than removal. Now, I realize that this doesn't describe how the two sides are very similar, but I'm getting there, as my next example is how both sides make claims about the opposing being controlling. The left claims that the right is trying to control women's bodies via abortion, while the right claims that the left is trying to control people's information via companies, without either side even noticing how their motions are just as controlling as the opposition. The right is just as controlling by telling their audience what and who to watch by saying who they shouldn't. And the left is just as controlling as their stance takes men's thoughts about the would-be child and throws them down a garbage chute. To which, this is my claim of how both opposing sides are just as controlling. Now, am I saying that the center between these two isn't controlling? Not necessarily, as within the few, there are always those who will try to steer your view on the world to be more in line with theirs. I just know that I try to listen to everybody, as no matter how sideways their thoughts may be, you can always learn from people, either by listening to them or watching what they do. For example, Fresh and Fit. I find them to be hilariously conceited in how they only talk weird to women, who, in turn,
Stephanie Palomares. I said, Stephanie, before the show, I need you to screenshot how many OnlyFans subscribers you have, and then afterwards, I need you to tell me how many you have 24 hours later.
Should we all do that right now?
Yes, I think.
Yes.
We already did it.
I think all of you should do that. Now, here's what happened. I've never seen a girl get dunked on more than this girl on Fresh and Fit ever. Like the whole chat was just on her the entire time. She got 1,200 paying subs in 24 hours.
make money from them talking trash about what they do. But I can still learn from them, like about what not to do on YouTube, or what not to say as it might bite me later in the future. Or, for another example, Hassan Piker. He has the mentality of a child holding both ears while saying, "I can't hear you," as it's his way or the highway. But I can comfortably say that I've learned that everybody, including trans people, are transphobic. Not a great example of me learning from him, but it's something that I'm going to stick with. But what I mean to say from saying this is that if you listen to the big heads in everything, you're just going to be... The big heads are big heads for a reason. Like, for example, I guess we could say... Okay. Cut that out. Now, I say this to bring to a point that, like, if you don't want to be controlled or feel like you're being controlled, then you should probably just listen to your own thoughts. Do what you want instead of following people who you think are on your side. Not everyone's on your side. Some people are just on your side for the sake of wanting a group to be with. But if you don't want to be controlled, I'd say just go on your own. Like how I go, by just being as much of a centrist person as I can, just taking both sides and seeing what can be correct and what cannot be correct, or what might not be correct, or whatever. It's not a great saying, but I mean, whatever. Now, is how I go about being in between both sides the correct way to go about living life? Maybe not. Some people might see it as me not having strong beliefs, while others might just see me as being a contrarian for this statement of being a contrarian, with no other reason. But I choose to see both sides, as I think it gives me the best stance in life and outlook in general. Something I think that is overlooked is how most hard stance people, be it hard left or right, are the easiest people to control in the grander scheme of things, as they always overlook the better option due to their support for what they strongly believe in. For example, people who believe in the Bible and use it as their sword and shield can be the biggest clowns for their own blind eyes.
A year into the relationship, it gets really, really...
From who?
Would you
from both.
This is so rare.
Anyone,
It's
anyone
so
really.
rare.
When it happens,
Go
I'm
on,
just,
go on.
My point is, I'm
Hypothetically.
just, yeah. Even though it might be rare from what you guys think,
It is. Go on.
if it would happen, what would you recommend for those people to do? Would they divorce, or do you want them to keep going in the relationship?
Keep going. You can't divorce. I mean, that's not a real thing. You can like separate. See, his Catholic background shines through. He knows. You can't divorce. You can separate, but you can't actually divorce. That's not a real thing.
Even though it might be like physically abusive.
You got to endure. People are too.
You want to stick into the relationship.
People are just.
See, I mean, look,
people
I'm gonna be
nowadays
honest.
are just pussies. Everybody fucking quit.
The Bible may say that infidelity is the only marriage breakable offense, but I can guarantee that divorcing in the case of abuse is far better for the kids and the supposed abuse victim than enduring the abuse while hoping for a brighter day. Like, why would you pray for a better day when you can actively take steps to make the next day brighter for yourself and your kids? They are controlled by their own beliefs in such a way that they're controlled by their own beliefs in such a way that to the rest of the world, they look like clowns who shouldn't be listened to. They make the struggle that males actually go through seem trivial, as, like, if men are having such issues, why would they be making such clownish statements? Or for another example, the Stop Oil organization. Nobody takes them seriously, as every stunt they have done has done nothing other than annoy people who are just living their life and who have little or no correlation to their cause. They don't even try to explain a better solution to something that everybody uses other than just repeating clean energy mumbo jumbo. Solar panels, sounding like a Shakespearean preacher without the foresight to even notice that solar panels require the very thing that they want to eliminate to even function. Never mind the materials needed to make a solar panel. They don't even go over how they would replace the oil that is required in our everyday life. Your clothing, made of oil. Your phone, oil. Your drinks, more oil. Your hair dye, most likely oil. Everything that is produced at some point or another has come in contact with oil. I just think that society as an overall would be a better place if we had the mindset of trying to understand the opposing views, no matter how backwards they seem, as it can always shine a light on something that people don't want to see or didn't even recognize at first. And that's just about all I wanted to say on this topic of political opposition. I might come back to this, or may leave it, but that's for the future to decide. Though I hope to see you again on my next upload. And until then, have a good one.